Hey there, Michelle Raza here with Finding Yourself SATX Life Coaching coming out of San Antonio, Texas. Today we're going to be talking about Dr. Gibson's Recovering from Emotionally Immature Parents. We're moving into chapter 10 of her book, so this is the last and final chapter, just as we did with chapter 9, because this is really helping you build up your skill set. We will take our time here. If these videos provide you some value, please do like and subscribe. It really does help us little YouTubers. And check out my website. I'm at www.findingyourselfsatx.com. There in the Contact Us section, you can find my contact information. Shoot me an email or text or a phone call, and we can set you up with your first free consult. There's no obligation thereafter. Thank you. Okay, so we're going into chapter 10. Now you can have the relationship you've always wanted. Just focus on one interaction at a time. You can create healthier relationships with your EIPs by thinking about what you are willing to accept, one interaction at a time. Time spent with your EIPs will be more productive if you keep your mind on the immediate interaction instead of the whole relationship at once. It's too much pressure to try to have a good relationship with them. Just try for one constructive interaction in the moment. The key is to relate to your EI parent or EIP more honestly and actively instead of keeping quiet and allowing them to take over or getting into an argument with them. As long as you maintain a secure self-connection and awareness of the EI's tactics, you won't be so vulnerable to EI coercions. By being loyal to yourself and your inner world, you maintain your boundaries, emotional autonomy, and right to your own individuality. As you put your self-connection first, you'll be capable of a new kind of relationship with your parents, one in which you're much more self-aware and self-protective. In many ways, this will be the relationship you've always wanted, because it's the relationship in which you can finally be yourself around them. It hasn't just been about how they've treated you. It's also about how you've overlooked yourself in order to get along with them. It's as if you unwittingly signed a relationship contract with them in childhood without realizing what it would cost you in your adult life. Thankfully, you can now revise that old relationship arrangement to be fairer to you. Your new awareness of their level of emotional maturity will enable you to see what they're doing and ask yourself whether you want to change how you respond. Even if you are out of contact with your parents or they are no longer living, you can still use your memories to imagine relating to them differently. By mentally redoing previous interactions, you can even change how the past feels to you. One woman told me that reimagining calmer, more autonomous responses to her father had given her the best relationship she had had with him in years, and he had been dead for 7 of those. Now, let's review the unspoken agreement you may still have with your EIP or EI parents and come up with better terms. So, just like we have in previous videos, we'll end with the exercise and then move on to the separate sections of this chapter. I know I've said this plenty of times, but all of this stuff is so much easier said than done. It's so easy to think about how you would do things differently if you could do them again. But then when you find yourself in the heat of the moment and you react instead of responding, it's okay. You're not perfect, and remember how long it took you to get here. I have heard from a lot of people commenting on these videos, basically stating that they themselves are EIPs and they're trying not to be. And I think there is some truth to that, and I think it's worth exploring. Dr. Gibson tells us as long as you're studying this stuff, you shouldn't be too worried about it because obviously you want to change and you want to do better. And I think that's very optimistic and it's true, but at the same time, there is truth to to people saying that's how I was raised and that's kind of how I am, and understanding that it is going to take some work to change your habits, to be different, to be nicer to yourself even, because sometimes we're not nice to ourselves. And then, of course, to change our interactions with the EIPs. That is one commentary I'll have on these books, is that it does make it easy to fall into a victim type mentality and not ever take any ownership or blame yourself. And in reality, it's always a two-way street. So while you were a child, you didn't really have a choice. And there is no blame in what happened to you as a child, how you were treated, the way that you coped. All of that is fine. But now as an adult, and what Dr. Gibson is telling us, is you have a chance to change those interactions and respond in a different way, and in a way that serves you better than how it's been in the past for you. So, okay, do you want to keep your old EI relationship contract? Most relationships build up unspoken agreements over time, but we usually don't become aware of them until there's a problem. These contracts mostly remain hidden, but by bringing them out in the open, you can see what you've been agreeing to. The following exercise can help you become aware of what you may have been going along with and see whether you still want to follow those terms. Exercise. Reevaluate the terms of your EIP relationship. Apply the following statements to a significant EIP in your life, and in your journal, write agree or disagree for each one. So just like we've done before, if you need a pause it, go get your journal, and then come back. 1. I agree that your needs should come before anyone else's. Agree or disagree. 2. I agree not to speak my own mind when I'm around you. Agree or disagree. 3. Please say anything you want, and I won't object. 4. Yes, I must be ignorant if I think differently from you. Now, I read that in my mind sarcastically, so try not to read it sarcastically and put agree or disagree. 5. Of course, you should be upset if anyone says no to you about anything. 6. Please educate me about what I should like or dislike. 7. Yes, it makes sense for you to decide how much time I should want to spend with you. 8. You're right. I should show you respect by disowning my own thoughts in your presence. 9. Of course, you shouldn't have to exercise self-control if you don't feel like it. 10. It's fine if you don't think before you speak. 11. It's true. You should never have to wait or deal with any unpleasantness. 12. I agree. You shouldn't have to adjust when circumstances change around you. 13. It's okay if you ignore me, snap at me, or don't act glad to see me. I'll still want to spend time with you. 14. Of course you are entitled to be rude. 15. I agree that you shouldn't have to take direction from anyone. 16. Please talk as long as you like about your favorite topics. I'm ready to just listen and never be asked any questions about myself. The point of this exercise, they should all be disagree. I think we know that. The point of this exercise is to make you aware of how you may have unwittingly allowed your EIP to take over as the most important person in the relationship. By exposing these relationship terms It'll help you be more aware of what you are willing to go along with in the future. And not all of these may apply to your EIP, but just think about it. And I mean, it is a hard exercise because it's hard not to be sarcastic while saying these things. But if any of these things apply to you, it means that you're basically putting your EIP on a pedestal. You're allowing them to act in a particular way. And as I said, as a child, you had no choice because your brain was developing, you were little, you couldn't defend yourself, you couldn't speak for yourself, but you can now. And I think that's really important because you can go back in your mind and think about all of the interactions where things were just so unfair, and you can feel this pain for the child that couldn't do anything about it. But you can now. You can, and you don't have to take this type of behavior from anyone. It doesn't matter if your EIP is your parent, a sibling, a coworker, a friend, a neighbor. It doesn't matter. You don't have to take this from anyone, and you just have to remember. And one of the things that has worked well for me personally is having a child and thinking about somebody interacting that way with my child. I can be a bit of a mama bear, and I will, when people ignore my child and ask me questions about her, I will direct them to her and have her answer because she's a little human and she deserves to be respected just like anybody else. So if you think of it that way, of the child that went through these encounters being you who went through these encounters, and envision yourself now that you're an adult, that you know better, that you can speak up. Imagine that child, and the way that you want to react and respond and interact is to protect that child who couldn't protect themselves. It's okay that, I mean, what happened, right? But just imagine that child being treated in that way and defend them. They're worth defending, and they still live inside of you. And for a lot of the people that I talk to and that I've met, you can see the damage. I think none of us get out of childhood unscathed. We all have a little bit of damage. But the pure self, the true self, is still inside of you. And if you defend your inner self, if you put stock and value in your inner self, you can slowly but surely help that purest form of yourself come up, and you can be you, and you can be free and have good interactions with people. And isn't that ultimately just what we all want? So it's been a pleasure covering this material with you. We will continue with chapter 10 on Thursday. If you like this information, please do like and subscribe. The authors that I cover are just the tip of the iceberg. These self-help books, I hope that you go pick up your own copy. $17 in the United States, at least at the time of this publishing. But you can also get a free copy from the library if you can't afford a book. I think Audible too, if you haven't signed up before and you first sign up, the first title is free if you prefer audiobooks. But thank you for spending time with me. If you do find value in this stuff, check out my website. I'm at www.findingyourselfsatx.com. I am a life coach, and what I do with people is to help them set goals in the 7 different life areas and then help them be accountable to their goals. So just by putting your goals on paper, Dr. Brewer said, and I'm sure he's not the first to say this, but people who set goals are much more likely to achieve them, which sounds silly, but just by writing down your goals, you're much more likely to achieve them. And then when you have somebody asking you about them on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis, then you have kind of that fire under your feet. And then we break them down, right? Because if your goal is to be a millionaire, that's great. I'm going to go out and be a millionaire. How do you actually get there? So we break down the goals into steps that are actually manageable and achievable and help you get there. So that's what I do. Look forward to talking with you guys more on Thursday. Take care. Have a beautiful day, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.